Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Josh from Gingerflix, and I'm here today to talk to you about Justice League Dark Apokolips War. This is the latest movie within the DC animated movie universe, stemming from Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox all the way until now. It is the 15th movie, and it is kind of the culmination within these last 7 years worth of storytelling. It's loosely based on the New 52, this animated movie universe, and the title of the movie is maybe only a name only based on a comic, taken from a comic, the Apokolips War, the Dark Side War. I will be delving into spoilers, so if you have not seen this movie yet, I'd suggest go watch it, especially if you're a DC fan. And if you have seen it, let's go on this journey together, shall we? So, like I said, this is the culmination of the last 7 years of storytelling, and it includes movies like Justice League War and Throne of Atlantis, as well as Batman Hush, Superman, Death of Superman, Reign of the Supermen, Wonder Woman Bloodlines, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract, Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, and of course Justice League Dark, this being the second Justice League Dark movie. A lot of great things within this film. It is an hour and a half. It's 90 minutes worth of storytelling, which is a lot for a straight to video release kind of thing. You know what I mean? Especially for an animated movie. It's a hard R. There's some crazy goriness, or some rather harsh deaths, as well as some crude humor and language. All the kind of stuff that we may like. And yes, so this movie did not disappoint. There were some things within some of the characters that I didn't necessarily agree with, but all in all, it is a pretty solid film. The leads, you kind of have pillars from each of the teams, right? You had Superman from the Justice League, you had John Constantine from Justice League Dark, you had Raven from the Teen Titans, and then you had Damian Wayne, also from the Teen Titans, but also the Batman movies. So this movie, I just assumed it was going to be a straightforward, all the heroes go to Apokolips, they fight, and that's it. There's actually quite a bit more. That is kind of the crux of it, in terms of them just going to defeat Darkseid. But there's a lot more. The stakes are very high within this movie. It's a very bleak, dark kind of universe. And so there's a lot of growth with these characters. The beginning of the movie is Superman rallying the troops, that being the Titans, the Justice League, and the Justice League Dark, and him getting them to go to Apokolips. The way it was kind of done, I didn't necessarily agree with, in that they made his character almost aggressive. So I thought, oh, is this going to be like an Injustice style Superman? But they didn't really do that. But I just, Superman being the symbol of hope, he's like my favorite character within the DC comics. Actually, in all of comics, he's my favorite. Anyway, I didn't necessarily like how they made his character in that moment, but that was a very small thing, but it drove the whole movie almost. So everyone goes to Apokolips and they get defeated like that. We don't really see the battle. It just cuts 2 years later. Similar to Thor killing Thanos, and then they cut into 5 years later in Endgame. They kind of pull that with this. Now, so we cut to Constantine, and he's in a pub and he's getting drunk and he's kind of running it, and it's him and Etrigan. So the leads, especially Superman, Raven, and Constantine, those are the three you follow for a lot of the film. They're kind of broken in a way. John Constantine loses Zatanna, which was his driving force, and he had run away from the fight on Apokolips, and he didn't know why. So he's broken from that. Superman is still alive because what Darkseid had done was inject his blood with kryptonite. So he's got kryptonite coursing through his veins, and he's powerless. And he's feeling defeated because they lost the fight, and it was all because of him. Raven, she felt alone once the fight stopped, and she's got Trigon basically in her mind. She's holding him at bay the entire movie, and that's causing her a lot of pain. So those are the three leads, and they're just it's kind of their journey. From there, so right away they go to find Damian Wayne, who is going to help them get to Darkseid, because at this point Batman is now Darkseid's right hand man. So Robin, being the only person that could probably get through to him, being his son, and Damian of course resents Superman because Nightwing was killed and his whole team was destroyed in his eyes. Well, no, his whole team was destroyed, and so he holds a lot of resentment, a lot of hatred towards Superman. Um, on the other side of the world, almost, you have Lois Lane trying to recruit the Suicide Squad, and again, like I said, there's spoilers. So she fights Harley Quinn in this boxing match, and she actually can go toe to toe because she's an army brat. She's trained. And it's a good fight. And one thing this movie does is there's a lot of great action, and being a comic book film and a DC movie, that's what you want that, right? You want that in a comic book movie. So she gets Harley Quinn, King Shark, Captain Boomerang, and Bane to go with her, and Black Mantis as well. Black Mantis and Bane don't really have a lot of dialogue. I don't even know if they have any. I don't remember them having any dialogue, to be honest. It was mainly King Shark, who was almost their Groot, right? All he kept saying is King Shark is a shark or something like that. And I thought this guy could actually talk, and he does at the very, very end. Anyway, so basically between Superman and Raven and Lois Lane, they get all the the remaining heroes of Earth to do this one last stand, and take the fight to Apokolips. And you find out, like I said, that Batman is Darkseid's almost right hand man. He's in the Mobius chair now, so he's got a little bit more power to him. He's got more knowledge, and Lex Luthor is trying to balance both sides, trying to stay on Darkseid's side as well as Earth's side. And you know what? I gotta say, first of all, before we go into any more spoilers or any more story, the voice acting is great. I have to say that the voice acting is great in this movie. These actors that they've had for a lot of the films don't disappoint. Continuing on, basically what happens is half of the heroes go to Apokolips and half of them stay. So Lex Luthor, Lois, and the Suicide Squad stay on Earth to fight the parademons, which are now paradooms. This is why actually the initial fight kind of didn't succeed, because the parademons had been mixed with the Doomsday blood, or been fused with Doomsday. So they're paradooms, right? So they're more powerful. Darkseid knew they were coming because basically the team had, given the pep talk, had told them, oh, this is how you beat the parademons, and then sure enough, they are way more powerful now, and it's crazy. Anyway, so then you have Superman, Constantine, Etrigan, you have Raven and Damian Wayne going to Apokolips. And, Darkseid's not supposed to be there because he's on Oa, and I don't think they make it clear why he's there, but it's to get him off there. But of course, they know they're coming, so anyway, there's a big final showdown. As a Superman fan, I was kind of happy because you had a final-ish fight with Superman and Darkseid, and he's holding his own. He's not... I find with a lot of these movies, with the Superman character, they like to... It's become very cool within comics to be those characters that beat Superman, right? That's like the cool thing. So I'm kind of glad that... So he finally gets his powers back and he goes toe-to-toe. First, he gets actually taken over by Trigon, right? Raven lets him go, and Trigon takes him over, and then Superman breaks forth from Trigon. And anyway, it's a pretty cool fight. And at the end of the film, Lois and the Suicide Squad get taken down, which is unfortunate. But then you have the remaining heroes. Batman finally gets turned. Trigon in his ultimate regular form takes down Darkseid, but Apokolips gets destroyed. And you have the remaining heroes left on Earth, and you have Raven and Damian, and you have Constantine, and you have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But Wonder Woman, we had all thought that the League was destroyed, but in fact, they had been turned into cyborg versions. So there was Wonder Woman, there was Starfire, there was Hawkman, there was Martian Manhunter, and Mera, actually, Aquaman's wife, who had been turned into cyborg, like cyborg Superman, cyborg versions of themselves. Anyway, it was really kind of cool. So the rest of the League, they're back as well, but all, of course, are, they're not the normal selves. But basically, it ends with, it comes full circle with Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox, in that Constantine, he lets Barry know that Barry basically has to restart time again. So then you're going to have another universe, another rebirth, or whatever it is. And that's kind of how the movie finishes. Barry runs off, and then he's changing the time stream. Or the timeline, I should say. So that's kind of it. I left out, obviously some details, but like I said, there was some really good things in this movie. I like Jerry O'Connell as Superman. He's done a great job. Him and Lois were great together. Him and Rebecca Romaine being Jerry O'Connell's wife in real life, the two of them together are awesome. Matt Ryan is, he's John Constantine, and he also plays Constantine on the show Legends of Tomorrow, and he does also an excellent job. He's as great as both, and especially he's like the main lead of the film. He does an awesome job. Then you have Taissa Farmiga as Raven, and she's been Raven in the Teen Titans movies, does excellent. And you have Stuart Allen as Damian, and again, a great job. Then you had the regulars for Justice League, like Shamar Moore as Cyborg, Jason O'Mara as Batman, and you had Rosario Dawson as Wonder Woman. So you have all these great actors being there and taking their roles, and they're given 110%. I do have to say, I didn't really like the voice of Darkseid. I believe he was the same voice as in Reign of the Superman, and that's Tony Todd, and I was not a huge fan of that. He almost it didn't match the gravitas, the power, the fear that Darkseid exudes. Something, Michael Ironside played Darkseid in the Justice League animated show, and even the Superman animated show in the 90s. It would, you need someone like that with that deep, terrifying, powerful voice, and I don't think that Tony Todd necessarily had that. But that's just my opinion. So all in all, it's a pretty solid movie. The one thing I have to give it credit for is stakes, right? When you have a movie that has a lot of high stakes, a lot of weight behind it, it makes, there is more involved, right? There is a fear. There's a driving force within that movie. You can't just watch a movie and not be afraid that something's not going to happen to these characters, right? So all in all, to finish off the whole DC animated movie universe, I think they did a great job. I would have liked to see this movie even longer, right? Show us that initial battle on Apokolips instead of kind of time skips. I would just like to see more. I would like to see kind of a glimpse as to what happens when Barry comes back, or when the timeline gets restarted. But besides that, some great action scenes. Like I said, Superman fighting Darkseid. You had Wonder Woman fighting Etrigan, and then kind of fighting the evil League on her own. You had Damian Wayne and Batman fighting, which was kind of nasty. Lots of great stuff, Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor was excellent, and going from Dwight on The Office to this, he's awesome. So all in all, let us know, what did you think of this movie? What was your favorite parts? What's your favorite DC animated movie? I'd love to know your thoughts. We'd love to know your thoughts. Leave us a comment below. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Ginger Flicks, both in our podcast, our Instagram, and for Josh, this is Ginger Flicks. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.